Well, So why is this guy like in straight-to-video movies now? You know that old saying? You either die a hero, or you live long enough to see...
This is Viewer Takeover, where we film whenever we feel like it, and then we just air it whenever we feel like it as well. We're in the middle of a transition here Without Parole. We're gonna be making some modifications to our schedule, and that Des guy, you're never gonna see him again. Just kidding. This is Mikey Sensei week here Without Parole. If you don't, Mikey Sensei, who are you, man?
Very OG Gamecat from way back when.
It was definitely pre PSVR days.
It was pre PSVR. It was Paul Zeller.
And there's what?
What is his name again? Peter Zeller? Something Zeller?
What? Mike Zeller.
Mike Zeller.
Wow, I was like, who's that?
Whoa, I just fucked up.
No, all good. Peter Zeller it is. So wow, yeah, there's not many. There's not many. We got like what 44,000 subscribers right now.
Mm-hmm.
There's about 500 in the Zeller days.
Yeah.
Like maximum. We didn't really exceed that. So that's about as OG as you get.
Yeah.
So if you're curious who this guy is, visiting Gamecat from out of town.
Yeah.
One of the loyalists of the loyalists, fluffiest of the fluffy. We decided we should get him on some of the shows. Okay. So as always, my name is Brian Paul, and to my right, your left, the Gamecat extraordinaire himself, Mikey Sensei.
Hello. And to my left, your right.
Oh yeah.
Brian Paul.
Yeah, you don't really have to introduce me on the show.
Oh, I don't, but
That's
I
okay.
like to, so.
Cool. All right. So it's going to be pretty freeform today.
Yeah.
Yeah. Before we really get into the show, we want to thank a bunch of people. First and foremost, we want to thank Jack MP for sending us that, ridiculous, over-the-top viewer takeover introduction. I don't know if I got the reference. I'm going to have to look into it. You said maybe Scanners?
Scanners?
Yeah. There was was Nicolas Cage in Scanners? Because
no.
that seemed like him at the beginning of the thing, which I might have chopped out because it was just so damn long. But maybe I'll show the whole thing at the end of the episode. And also apology to Jack MP, because he sent me this thing like 2 months ago, and I was like, oh, this is great, I can't wait to use this, and then I never used it, and I was like, it somehow fell to the end of the pile. So if you sent us a viewer takeover introduction and you haven't seen yours, just send me an email and remind me, because I probably forgot or just lost track of it. Apologies to everybody. But if you haven't sent us a viewer takeover introduction and you want to send us a viewer takeover introduction, send us your short, sweet, seductive, sexy, somewhat perverted viewer takeover introduction to withoutparole@gmail.com. It's a Gmail account, because that's how professional we are.
Yeah.
Sorry, I apologize. You got to keep it small so it fits in the inbox. And if it doesn't fit in the inbox, like Jeremy says, consider yourself lucky.
Yeah, very lucky.
Jack MP is the only person we want to thank. However, this week, is he Mikey?
No, we have all these fine people down here.
Oh, these people down here. It's their time.
Their time down here.
That's old school. And these are all the people who went to patreon.com/withoutparole
games,
and they're giving us $1 or more every single month. I beg of you, if you're not giving us $1 or more every single month, please consider going to patreon.com/withoutparole.
Games.
You get it the first time. I was figuring you get it the second time.
My peripheral is bad.
Because we are outside of a small amount of YouTube ad revenue. This channel is basically run on like almost 100% Patreon support. So if you like what you see, if you like coming back each and every single week, if you want me to keep coming back each and every week, please support us on Patreon. But there's another small group of people that we like to thank each and every week. The people who went above and beyond, went to Google, went to YouTube, and changed their username to something the Gamecat, because the Gamecats are the loyal following of Without Parole. So who changed their name to Gamecat this week, Mikey?
Okay, well, we have Webbs the Gamecat, RAR.
Ooh, there's a RAR and an exclamation point.
There is an exclamation point.
That's
that means it's
really
very
exciting.
very exclamation.
You think Webbs is like a nickname? Like, you think his name's Webster? Or
It could have to do something with fingers or toes. Who knows?
oh, maybe because he was born with an abnormality.
Yeah.
He got a nickname from his friends.
We all embrace our abnormalities around
What's
here.
up, Webbs? What up, Webbs?
What up, Webbs?
They should call him Spider-Man or something cool. I don't know.
He probably climbs walls.
Maybe. I want Webbs. Who else?
We have Superman the Gamecat. Speaking of Webbs.
It's a little more straightforward.
Yeah.
It's kind of a superhero week here without Parole. Had no idea that Superman was with us, but thank you for changing your name to Gamecat. And then finally...
Don't slit your wrists. The hashtag Gamecat.
Yeah, it's hotcakes. It's hotcakes.
Hotcakes, come on now.
It's been so long since I made the joke about killing myself, which isn't funny, I know, but neither am I. That this totally isn't in context at all. People forgot about me making that joke like 3-4 weeks ago because we haven't done a viewer takeover in forever.
Yep.
So it is funny, hotcakes. But no one remembers the joke. So make sure, again, if you change your name to Gamecat because you love us as much as I love you, somewhere in the comments after you change your name, please put hashtag Gamecat, all one word, and so we can find you nice and easy and give you a shout out on next week's show. But also, if you want to be part of next week's show, then you can submit your comments, your questions, your viewer takeover submissions. Anywhere on the channel, under any video that we have, just put hashtag viewer takeover, again, all one word, so we can find it, or head to our Discord server where all the cool cats hang out, and just go to the viewer takeover channel and leave your question there. Of course, we'll find it. Of course, we probably won't use it because I'm not terribly proactive. Okay. So first and foremost, let's talk to our first viewer takeover question from Robert McAllister, Gamecat. I love that. This is from a viewer takeover I can only imagine about a month ago. He writes, hashtag viewer takeover, hashtag it's a thing. Brian Dez, or Brian and Mikey as it is this week. Driving and flying games would seem to go hand in hand with VR, yet we don't have many games in either category. Do you think it's because of the underpowered PS4, or developers are fearful of lower sales because of motion sickness problems? What do you think, Mikey? Do you have
I would say the latter, if any of the two were a part of the factor. I don't know. Sony's still to this day, 2+ years later, afraid of people getting motion sick as a part of a non-selling point. Some games don't even include, blinders from time to time. So I feel like it could be a bit of that. That could be the factor of it. I don't see it being lower sales.
No.
I don't. I see it being more concern for everybody else's safety and investing into the PSVR. They don't want to lose customers. That's how I see it.
Yeah, I'm going to say that we have currently Drive Club VR, we have Dirt Rally VR, and then part of Gran Turismo Sport. Those are the car racing games that I can think of. More than that? I feel like I'm missing something. It doesn't matter. These are all like basically AAA games. I feel like it takes a AAA studio to make a good racing game. And if you've been paying attention over the last almost 3 years, we don't get a lot of AAA studios making PlayStation VR games. It's just the market isn't that big yet for AAA studios to spend their time, their money, their resources on making something that like 1 million people might buy at best. There are 4 million PlayStation VR users out there. There are 100 million PS4 users out there. So I assume that if you're going to make a driving game, you're going to make it for the masses. You want to sell it to as many people as possible. That's an easy port over to Xbox One, probably an easy port over to Switch. So I assume that that's why we haven't gotten anything like that. I'm begging to get a Burnout game in VR.
That would be great.
Because Burnout Paradise was this great open world game, but I don't even need that. I don't even need the PlayStation 3 game, Burnout Paradise. I will be happy with any of the PlayStation 2 Burnout games that were way more just, like on rails, just like you have to go down, like you have to take this turn here and this turn here. But because it was so fast paced and so high action, it's almost Wipeout on streets.
Yeah, pretty much. Wipeout's another racing game. It's it works. All these racing games mentioned work really well for the hardware. Yeah. I feel like there's no lag. The frame rate stay smooth, because then that would be a problem with sickness. So I don't think it's because of the PS4. I think it's because of people getting sick. Dramamine's out there, guys. I mean, if you want to try that. Or fan. That's an old school reference.
Yeah, fans I think are necessary in VR. I mean, half because it's like summer here. And,
Yeah.
you know, if you're gonna put a big piece of plastic and rubber on your face, you better have a good source of cool air coming your way.
Yeah, VR is difficult in the summer.
Yeah, I'm not thrilled about it right now.
I know.
I don't know, but yeah, a fan helps. People say chewing on ginger helps. I don't really get motion sick ever, but you know, maybe you should try the 3D rudder.
Let's not even go there right now. Why are we talking about the rudder? Why?
All right, who sent us our next question, Mikey?
Madman in Black, the Gamecat.
What up, Madman?
Hey, Madman. This was on the Discord. Hashtag viewer takeover. Do you think climbing in VR is a successfully immersive experience? Or like me, do you think it loses a little in translation as you always feel the floor in real life beneath your feet, not using your legs as a part of the climb? That is a very good point. I've never thought of that because as you are climbing, you are using your feet as well. Unless you're really skilled and have great upper body strength, you need your legs to help you climb. Yeah. I don't think putting ankle bracelets will help in that immersion. That's the only thing I could think that would happen. But I do love climbing in VR a lot when it's done right.
When is it done right?
When there's move controllers.
True. So Robinson the Journey, not done right.
Looks great, not executed so great.
Yeah.
That has to sell on the immersion. You have to use your actual hands to climb up left and right, not alternating buttons. So
right. Fun gameplay mechanic, just not immersive.
Agreed.
Yeah. I will say Ryan Marks has to be the guy with the strongest, most well-developed upper body of all time. Because playing through Blood and Truth, man, you're just half of that. You're just hanging from a wall. Okay, go in here. Oh, I'm just gonna take this turn right here. Yeah, what? Like for just hanging off of walls for minutes at a time. Just like lifts himself off ledges, shooting a bad guy, lifts him down. Let's do some more climbing. Like, and there's some, and that's the thing is that it's never gonna be immersive. Not in the way that people want it to be. I think there are some good climbing walls. I think in Summer Funland and Carnival games both had good climbing walls. But I think they're only successful because they're fun and because they give you that sense of scale and sense of height.
Yep.
And you go, oh, well, I'm really high up. If I look down, I'm gonna notice that.
If you get vertigo, you forget about the fact that you're standing on the floor or sitting on a chair, however you're playing. If the vertigo and the depth perception is great, then it's gonna sell you regardless. I love, especially Carnival games. Carnival games was great. There's a few other games that have climbing. I'm trying to think of them right now. I'm trying to blank.
Immortal Legacy has climbing, but it's very much the Blood and Truth model.
Yeah.
And that's what I think the thing is there's people look for two different things when it comes to VR games. Some people go, I need this to be as realistic as possible. I need this to be as immersive as possible. If I'm holding two guns, I need to have two move controllers or an aim controller. But then I play Resident Evil 7 and go, I don't need move controllers for this. I'm firmly on the side of things not needing to be a simulation all the time or be as realistic as possible. Just because it's virtual reality, I don't need it to simulate actual reality. I want it to be a fun game. Yeah. And so that's why I actually really enjoy the climbing, even in Robinson. I enjoy the climbing in Blood and Truth. I enjoy the climbing in Immortal Legacy, just because it's fun. Yeah. And it doesn't have to be replicating actual climbing.
I especially love when they put you on a rope or a vine and you're hand over hand. Yeah. And first time playing something like that, I just went naturally with how I would do it in normal life, and it worked out the same exact way. That's immersion, folks, right there.
Works pretty well. Next up comes from Flying Dutchman. I hope he's okay. I hope he landed all right. From our Discord server. Make sure you join the Discord server. The link's down below in the description. It's hashtag viewer takeover. Ooh, these are rapid fire questions. Ready for this?
Yep.
1. What will be your dream VR game?
Jesus. Roller coaster simulator that actually works?
Okay. I'm going to say Resident Evil 8.
That's the easy answer. Yeah, of course. I think we all want Resident Evil 8.
Rapid fire. I don't want to think too hard. When do you think No Man's Sky VR update will release?
2 weeks.
Yeah. I basically told myself I'm going to take a vacation soon. So whenever I'm sure the second I leave my house to go not work on the channel for a week for the first time in 5 years, that's exactly when it'll drop. I put AJ on high alert. I said if the patch drops when I'm on vacation, you just have to stream for 72 hours straight. Yeah. It's like, okay.
That's a long stream.
Yeah, that's good. I'll come back eventually and relieve him after 72 hours. I'll pick up where he leaves off.
Poor kid.
Yeah, it's there are rumors going around right now that there is a release date early in August. We'll see if that turns out to be true. I don't believe till I see it. Let's see, more rapid fire. What Sony exclusive do you think will get a VR update / version? He said sooner or later. I'm going to say sooner rather than later. So what do you think is going to come sooner or soonest?
Spider-Man, hopefully. They've been messing around with it already. They have the formula in place. This last release that they had was pretty great.
The free
the Homecoming.
Far From Home. Homecoming was bad.
Oh, so yeah, Far From Home.
Yeah.
One of the homes. It was great. I feel like
Sherlock.
it was definitely
Sherlock was good.
It's definitely nailed that feeling, and I feel like if they just elaborate on that, they already have the property. Just please.
My issue with that is that you don't even get the full body of Spider-Man on the OG PS4, and so they had to cut out some like pretty essential stuff just to get it running on PS4. And on PS4 Pro, like it doesn't look terribly good. Like it's a pretty empty city, right? And I get it. It's a free experience. It's a free thing, and it's fun to swing around and do the thing. But I can't imagine with the current power of PlayStation 4 or Pro that we're going to see like a full game.
PlayStation 5.
Yes,
maybe?
let's hope so.
PlayStation 5.
That would be amazing. I'm gonna say I'm gonna go a little bit retro. Not a little bit retro. It's like last gen, but I feel like Sony would be crazy not to revitalize one of their, fledgling IPs. Something like people are gonna forget what Resistance is if they don't keep making Resistance games.
Forgot about it already.
And right, and so maybe that's sort of their plan. Maybe they're saying, you know what, Resistance was fun. It was a great PS3 trilogy. There was some PSP games and the Vita game. They were okay.
It's a good studio.
Yeah, and so maybe we can get a relaunch of Resistance on PSVR, and because Resistance 3 for some reason, just something about the art style, something about the way that game plays, and maybe it's because it used the move controllers. You could use that on PS3 with the sharpshooter attachment. That makes me go, well, this is already prime for aim controller.
It is.
Right? So just relaunch Resistance. You can start with number 3, I don't care, and give us aim support in VR. It would be awesome.
Please and thank you.
Please and thank you. And the final question that Flying Dutchman asks before he does a safe maneuver to land, what is the VR library missing at this moment?
I would say horror games, but everybody will beg to differ.
You're saying we're missing horror games?
Like
you want more?
Fully fledged RE7 type.
Yeah, they're all like, even The Exorcist is like
they're over before
experience.
you're even settled in.
Yeah.
I feel like they're over so quick.
Yeah.
So I'll elaborate a full horror game. Silent Hill, please.
Silent Hill would be amazing. Also, trying to think about horror things. Really. Outside, Home Sweet Home was a good length. I was thinking that Resident Evil 7 might have been our only one. The Persistence had a good length to it. But yeah, no, we just need a good, solid, scary ass adventure.
I really need to get back into Persistence.
Yeah,
it scared me away.
I'm gonna say RPGs, especially of like the MMO variety. I think VR makes everything better, but also they make things that I wasn't terribly interested in before way more appealing. MMOs specifically, I never had an interest in playing a game with that many people. But then you just walk through like the lobby of Rec Room. You're like, oh, this is. It's filled with a lot of kids. But it's cool, man. You're just like, wow, there's just people doing their thing, like just walking through a crowd of people. This is even though it's kids, you're like, this is kind of cool. And so seeing that in maybe a more realistic setting or a fantasy setting with some nice polished graphics, and doing that with a bunch of friends, I think would be amazing.
I'd like to alter my answer and say, given that we had a thing called the PlayStation Home on the PS3.
Yes.
That would be awesome. There are some other VR outlets, I'm not going to name specifically, that have those type of social experiences and prove to be really intriguing, especially when you have friends in different states, across the country, in different worlds. It's almost like you're having that time to hang out with your friends in a virtual space that's convincing. So it's like you're not really alone. I know, like on the outside, you flip through a headset, it's just you and your headset, but the feeling that you get within that headset and being in that social space with people that you dig hanging out with that you can't hang out with in reality is unmatched, in my opinion, as far as social experiences go.
Home would be perfect in VR.
Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe they could integrate that into the hardware when it comes to PS5s.
Yeah.
Have a separate dashboard for PSVR users. It'd be amazing.
Sony, don't be scared, please.
Yeah, we got your back.
Yeah.
All right, and then you want to give us our last viewer takeover question?
Sure. This one comes from Rypop
I feel
on
like we
the
just banned
Discord.
him recently. I don't know what happened.
Or Johnny Rypop.
Johnny Rypop, the stray cat.
the stray game cat. Yeah. Hey, Rypop. Hashtag viewer takeover. What do you base your top 20 list off of? Des, a couple of weeks, brought a good question when he stated, "Is it a good game for VR or just a good game overall?" Question mark. That got me thinking. Although it's always a great list, are some games on it because they are great games? I have to redo that sentence. I'm sorry. That got me thinking. Although it's a great list, are some games on it because they are great games that so happen to be in VR? Skyrim, Borderlands, and Tetris come to mind. Although they are amazing games, do they help push the medium or just give us what we had in those great titles but only in VR?
I'm gonna blame Rypop.
I'm sorry, Rye.
Dude, it's like you got to keep your view takeover questions shorter, man. We have short attention spans. We lose interest a sentence
I
in.
was reconstructing your sentences as I was reading. I'm sorry.
He was creating a grocery list in his head while he was reading it. What was happening?
was.
He was like, man, we're low on bananas at home.
Potassium's important, guys.
Potassium is important. It's a serious thing affecting the whole country. Potassium in much larger doses.
Hashtag no more cramps.
Ooh, good stuff. I don't know if that's a thing.
Not yet.
So here's the thing. I feel like we always overthink this, especially Des. I'm glad he's not here, so I can just talk about him, because he's kind of saying, "Oh, Skyrim, Skyrim's a great game, and then he's the first one to say it's like a brand new experience in VR. I don't know if Borderlands 2 VR is a brand new experience in VR, but holy crap, is it an awesome reason to put on your VR headset and play Borderlands 2?
If not for the second time.
And when Rypop phrases the question saying, they're amazing games, but do they help push the medium or just give us what we already had? Pushing the medium, I think, is great. And I think independent studios are going to be constantly doing that. I think Pixel Ripped with Arvory Studios, I think they're doing a great job of pushing the medium. There's so many examples like that I don't think everything needs to push the medium. I remember when PlayStation 4 came out, and Sony got on stage at E3 and was pushing indie developers hard. And it looked like every single game that they were showing off was an 8-bit inspired or 16-bit inspired game. And I remember a lot of vitriol in the comments, people saying, "Does this need to be on PS4? Why this could have been on PlayStation 2. Why does this have to be on PlayStation 4? Is not pushing the medium."
Yeah.
It's like sometimes it's just about a quality game being played where and how you want to play it. And so that's how I feel about VR. It doesn't need to not all games need to push the medium forward. If it's a good game, it's a good game, and it belongs on our list.
Yes.
That's how I feel.
For me, pushing the medium comes from innovation. Giving you an experience that you've not had before in VR or in flat gaming. And there's a lot of great examples of that now. We're still seeing new systems being implemented in certain games that are coming out now. That's, to me, what pushes the medium. Also exposure and keeping the conversation going. That's a big one too. And it's really hard to keep a conversation going with VR because it's one of those things you have to say, you just got to put it on. And I've done that to plenty of people, and they went out and picked up a headset not too long after. So as long as it's innovative and it works functionally with your brain, and this is what you would do in real life for non-gamers. A lot of non-gamers, bringing them into VR would be something as simple as picking up something and putting it in a cabinet. If you offer that to the end user that's playing the game, it becomes available as far as innovation, and I get it, and I don't have to learn a new mechanic, or I don't have to learn a new system.
Or giving them something that they've always wanted, like giving them a lightsaber to slice blocks with.
That helps. Right? That helps. It really does.
Super simple, but very effective.
Yeah.
I think that does it for another episode of Viewer Takeover. Make sure if you want your question asked or read or at least discussed. I don't know if we actually answer many questions. On next week's Viewer Takeover, just make sure you put hashtag Viewer Takeover in a comment below, or join our Discord and put it in the hashtag Viewer Takeover channel. Also, I'm going to give that desperate Patreon plea one more chance. We really appreciate all your support, so head on over to patreon.com/withoutparole
Games.
and hit us up for literally $1 a month. That is,
Come on.
that's all we're asking. I know a lot of people give way more than that. Not asking for more than that. Thank you very much for supporting us. And then, of course, if you change your name to Gamecat, because you should, because you're fluffy as fluff. I almost swore. Make sure you change your name to Gamecat and then tell us in the comments below, hashtag Gamecat. For another Viewer Takeover, I'm Brian Paul. That's Mikey Sensei, the Gamecat extraordinaire, and who's a much longer title involved. We love you all.